Good afternoon, everyone. This is Julie with the Local Search Association, and I would like to welcome you to the LSA webinar series. Today's webinar is titled Selling Social to Local Businesses, What Do They Need and How Do You Scale It? And will be brought to you by our guest presenter, Alan Willis from VendAsta. During the webinar, feel free to type any questions you may have in the question box on the screen. At the conclusion of the presentation, Alan will be happy to answer those questions. And with that, we're ready to begin. It's over to you, Alan.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alan Willis with VendAsta Technologies. I'd like to thank Julie and the LSA for putting on this webinar series, and of course thank everybody on the webinar today for your time. Before we kick off, just a rough agenda. For the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to drive through a presentation on selling social to local business. Then there will be 10 to 15 minutes or so where I'll look at our social marketing product and how it speaks to some of the things that I've addressed in the presentation. And then we'll have some time at the end, as Julie said, for some Q&A. So with that in mind, we'll get rocking and rolling here. Initially, I just want to give a little bit of background on VendAsta Technologies and what we do. We are a white label software company. We're leaders in the white label online reputation management space. We have a suite of products that speak to this initiative and speak to this vertical, and we provide our product to a number of different verticals, ranging from the newspaper industry, YP organizations, SEO, SEM organizations, as well as digital and traditional marketing agencies. I mentioned that we have a suite of products. We look at reputation management as a leader in the space. We look at it from a holistic approach. We take the approach that managing your online reputation isn't just managing, it's monitor, manage, and build. And we built a product suite around that. So monitoring your reputation involves looking at visibility listings, consistency of data, pulling in reviews, things of that nature. That's our monitoring portion. Managing the information, the diagnostic data that you get from that, that's our concierge product, and you can see on this diagram as we move around the reputation, online reputation management timeline here. And finally, we have the building portion, building that online reputation, building that digital presence. And with that, we have our sites product as well as social marketing. And that's going to be today's focus, looking at the social space, looking at social marketing, and how we can leverage technology to drive social media initiatives for SMBs. Consumers are constantly connected and engaged on social media. Now, we've all seen these stats 100 times before. I don't need to harp on about this because we all know that consumers are on social media, on them all the time. Facebook is the most viewed web property online. This is all information that we know. Consumers are there, so if consumers are there, that's where small to medium businesses need to be as well. And I think at the time we're at now, most small to medium businesses know that they need to be involved in this vertical, and we'll have a few more slides that confirm that. But the challenge really isn't convincing a small business that needs to be on social media. It's what happens now, what happens next. Consumers that are on these social media channels, they want to engage brands on those social media channels. They want to talk about experiences they've had. They want to talk about new products. They want to hear about new products and offerings. Now, some of these stats really go without saying in terms of the type of engagement level that consumers have with brands on social media. Now, the takeaway here is that social media has a massive reach, and the social vertical cannot be ignored by businesses. It really can't. So if we know that consumers are on social media channels, and we know that they want to engage with their brands, that's one piece of the puzzle. The other piece of the puzzle is when a consumer is looking for a business, and that revolves around local search. So what we have here is some numbers based on app use for local business searches. And there's some pretty typical things you'd expect here. Google Maps being a dominant player, Apple Maps being kind of middle of the road. The second most used app for local business search is Facebook. Social is being used today for consumers to find local businesses and local business information. And probably the most interesting stat here is the tablet use, which the Facebook sitting at 23, which isn't far behind Google Maps. So if you're on a tablet, if a consumer is on a tablet, the likelihood that they're going to use that Facebook app to find a local business is almost as high as them using Google Maps, which I think is some really interesting data and something that small businesses really need to be aware of, that that sort of usage level is being achieved. If we have a look at how local search is growing and how it's grown in the last few years, again, this is the type of numbers that you'd expect to see in regard to growth. 2012, massive growth in the use of social networking sites to search for local business. And that from 2012 has been split into passive use and active use. There's still value in having those likes, those followers, etc. Because you can think about it as a subscription to your newsletter, subscription to the mailing list. A consumer has said, I like this business and I want to know more about them. I want to hear more about what this business has to say. I'm interested in their products and services. I want to know when new things get offered. I want to comment and be involved in conversations with that brand. If we take that 2012 number and we break it down a little bit, we can see that the growth in social networking sites being used for local search is really being driven by Facebook. 4 times larger than Google+. Again, that's something that you'd probably expect to see. Take away from the last couple of slides here, because they flow on from each other, really is consumers are using social to search for local business. Local being the really important aspect there. And again, giving those numbers a little bit more relevance, we all know that listing sources, directory sites like your Yelp, like your city searches, etc., are really important for small business visibility. They're really critical for SEO as well, SEO purposes. When you Google a small business, when you search for a small business on Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc., that first page of results typically consists of their Google map listing, their website URL, their social media sites, and all their directory sites that they're listed on those listing pages. So we can see how important those listing and social pages are in terms of results and visibility, even with us knowing how critical something like a listing site is. If we look at the numbers here, Yelp's visitors compared to a Facebook business page is minuscule. So if a small business wants to be in front of its consumers, if it wants to be in a position to start engaging, if it wants to be in a position to start having a conversation online, the best way for them to achieve that is to have a Facebook business page. And as I said at the beginning, this isn't something that we don't know. This isn't something that most small businesses don't know. It's the portion after. It's, okay, you've got the Facebook page, you've got the Twitter account. What's going to happen now? Who's going to manage this? Who's going to provide some content? How are you going to start engaging your fans and followers? As I just mentioned before, social sites and directory sites are great for SEO. Social sites in particular because Google and Bing, etc., rank those social sites really highly in terms of validity, in terms of consistency. In addition to that, social sites can be, and in many cases are, the primary way that a small business has to provide fresh, new, and engaging content. They don't always do that, unfortunately, but they have the best opportunity to do that on their social media account. Typically, their website is something that's been provided by a third party. It has inconsistent data, especially for a small business. How many times have you been to a small business's website? And it's something that you expect to see from the late 90s. It's a horrible experience. It's got out-of-date information. The Facebook page really provides them a way to have that engaging, fresh content on a daily basis. The other important portion of SEO from a social site's perspective is that backlinking. Every time you have a Twitter account for a business, a Facebook page, etc., you're providing links back to the main website for the SMB. So that link back traffic can really be a key driver from those social sites for the SEO purposes of the client's generic website. The bottom line here really is that you need to be active on your social networks to get the best effect in regard to your social media ranking. So just having the page there, it's important, sure, but having that fresh, engaging content is really going to help drive some of those SEO initiatives. We know that small businesses need to have a Facebook page. Most of them know this, but small businesses need help. And I think we all have seen this firsthand. How many times have you been to the Facebook page of a small business? And you can usually tell when they started their Facebook account because there's a flurry of activity in the first couple of days. We've got Happy Fridays and Hello Worlds all over the place, and then it dies down. And you get a coupon or a special offer, week here, week there, and then it's dead space. There's nothing happening. The graph here shows a number of different verticals ranging from health and entertainment to food and beverage to professional services, etc. And the numbers are really consistent in the fact that irrelevant of the vertical, small businesses need help in managing and creating their social media presence. This is not something they can do themselves. They're A, too busy, they're B, don't have the knowledge, and C, it's the process is not very prescriptive in offering. They don't know where to start. They don't know what is best practice for these sorts of mediums, for these sorts of initiatives. They've got nothing to go on. They've been given the keys to the car, but there's no gas to drive it. The best thing about seeing these numbers, though, from the perspective of everybody on the call here, is that this shows and this illustrates an enormous opportunity for growth, and an enormous opportunity to provide a social solution to SMBs that has some of the hand-holding that has been missing in previous offerings. If you can find the right social solution, there's an excellent opportunity to monetize that solution and provide that additional service to an SMB. So what do the characteristics of a social solution look like? We deal with thousands of SMBs on a daily basis through our channel partners. And based on our conversations with those partners and what we see in the market and see in the industry, I've got some bullet points here for the successful characteristics of a social solution. First of all, the benefits of that solution need to be tangible. It's not enough these days to say, I got you 5 extra likes, 5 extra fans, 5 extra followers. That's not enough because it doesn't provide any ROI to the small business. There is still a whole bunch of steps they need to complete in order to monetize or get some value from that follower or fan. Some tangible benefits include things like an actual physical lead from a social media platform. Wouldn't that be great? An actual lead from your Facebook or your Twitter account that converts into some actual physical cash for the small business. Brilliant. Some other tangible benefits could be things like engaging content that you can then republish or repost on your social media networks instead of having to have some content generation on the small business side. Being able to leverage the user-generated content on the web, that's a key deliverable from a successful product. Some other tangible benefits might be dispute resolution through your social media networks. Every time there's a comment, every time there's a tweet, every time there's a like on a business page or a Twitter account, that is a consumer, that's a prospect looking to have a conversation with an SMB, looking to have a conversation with a brand. Those conversations can't be ignored. A successful solution provides a tangible way to handle that sort of initiative. The solution needs to offer long-term value to SMBs. Social is not just a one-time hit. It's not just something that runs for a couple of months. This space isn't going anywhere. Social is not going to be a flash in the pan. We've seen that. So a good social product has to have long-term value. It needs to be providing these tangible benefits on an ongoing basis. It needs to be prescriptive in nature. It needs to show the SMB best practice because they're going from a very limited knowledge base. So the product cannot be something that is outside of their sphere of understanding. You can't give them a highly technical, highly unintuitive work product, workflow interface and expect them to be able to pick it up and run with it. The product needs to work around and be based around the core functionality and the core business processes of an SMB. And finally, it needs to be scalable. It needs to be scalable from the perspective of the channel partner, from the reseller, from the person providing that to the SMB. It needs to be something that you can provide in a large scale Otherwise, it's not going to be profitable, and it's not going to be something that integrates with your business processes. We looked at these social characteristics and what we'd seen in market and what had been communicated to us, and that's what we looked to achieve with our social marketing product, to take these characteristics and build a product around how an SMB would want to operate with social media, not the other way around. Not build a product and try and give it to an SMB, have the SMB in mind throughout the whole production process. So within our product, you can use socials to generate leads. Now, I don't usually read the stats from these slides, but I want to read this top one. More than 70% of small businesses want to use social media in the acquisition process. Now, I find that a little bit bizarre. I'd say that's probably 100%, whether it's small, medium, or otherwise. I don't know of any business, big or small, that is going to say, no, thank you, I don't really want that lead, whether it's from the social channel or otherwise. I think they'd probably be more enthused and keen to get a lead through social media because it's not something they've been able to achieve up to this point without some serious investment or some serious effort. So let's assume that every business wants to get leads. Let's assume that every business wants to get leads through social media. What our product allows you to do is have targeted searches for key phrases or words that are involved in the vertical that the SMB is in. It allows you to jump into conversations as they're happening in real time to promote your product or service, or to make a suggestion to that person on that social media channel in regard to what you can provide. It's jumping into a conversation right in the buying decision. Building an audience, part of our social media product is to drive engagement and drive interest in what the business has to say by providing a way to generate and find engaging content that's relevant to the business. Now, this isn't always so much about a product or service, but maybe some ancillary or educational information that drives the prospect and the consumer to then think about that product or service that the SMB offers. You know, if I'm a small business, if I'm a restaurant in the food and beverage vertical, I don't need to be finding content all the time about that's pushing my particular menu, my particular type of food. Maybe I want to find something that's an article that's about organic food and why it's good to cook with organic food, or why breakfast is the most important meal of the day from a nutritional standpoint. That sort of content is a soft sell, and it educates the end user on why they should be looking at this SMB's products or services in the first place. And as we saw before, generating fresh content for your social media channels is a key driver for SEO. Every time there's a tweet, every time that there's a comment or a like on a social media channel, that is a conversation that someone is trying to have with that small to medium business. The problem with a comment on Facebook or a tweet is that it can get lost in the noise. It's hard to follow those conversations, and consequently hard to give those individuals the time and the care that they may need in order to resolve a dispute or even to push a product and generate a lead. By being able to segment those comments into their own conversations, we can start having some successful two-way communication and really drive user engagement on those social media networks. So just to recap some of the content that we've just gone over, again, a lot of this goes without saying. Local businesses need a social media solution. Consumers are on social media channels. That's where they're going online. That's where businesses need to be to engage them. Not only are the consumers online, but they want to engage with those brands back. There's a two-way conversation happening there. Consumers want to talk to businesses, and businesses obviously want to be in front of consumers. So there's no deficiency there. They're both on the same page. There's massive growth in utilizing social for local search, again, because people want to shop in their local area. They want to engage the brands in their local community. The issue has been not convincing an SMB that it needs a Facebook page. It's what do we do now? They need help with social. They need help generating content. They need help with best practice. They need help to drive those leads. Let me have a look at what the recipe is for a successful social product. Now with that in mind, I'm just going to move over to our social product to give you a look at what we bring to the table in regard to social marketing, and give you a look at what a product looks like that was designed with the SMB in mind rather than a lofty digital marketing goal. So straight away you'll notice along the top here we have tabs and menu items that resonate with a small business. Leads, build fans, customer service, scheduling. Now this isn't things like engage or interact. It's terms that the business should understand and consequently makes it easier for them to use the product and to get their head around what they're trying to achieve with these social media initiatives. Right now we're on the Connect Accounts page. This view that we have here is both partner-facing, so people on the webinar here as the channel partner, this is the view you would see, as well as the SMB. The view is the same whether they're logging in and accessing the account on their own or you're logging in and managing the account for them. We can connect multiple Facebook business pages to this account, so you can post to multiple pages, you can post to multiple Twitter accounts, Google Plus monitoring, as well as LinkedIn and Foursquare. So we're covering a lot of bases social media-wise. If I come into the leads portion here, this is where we can start using social media to drive leads and to inject ourselves into those conversations where people are looking for our product or service. So here I have a search running for people who are tweeting that they're hungry in a 100-mile radius of Portland, Oregon. And this is live data. This is happening right now. So, LOL, I'm so hungry. Right now, if I'm a small business in the food and beverage vertical, I can hit reply here. And I can start a conversation with Stephanie right now and say, I can talk about my specials, my lunch specials, what's happening at the restaurant, why they should come and visit. I would not have known about this conversation otherwise. I would not have been able to inject myself in the conversation so easily and manage the conversation that I'm engaged in. I can easily see the flow of conversation, and not only am I, in most cases, getting one lead here, I'm getting two, because these are conversations between two consumers. Someone is telling someone, let's go for lunch, I'm hungry. So I can jump in here and go, hey guys, rather than being hungry, come and visit my establishment. That's a lead, that's a tangible benefit. And I can have multiple searches, multiple leads running right from this leads dashboard. So I can have certain aspects of my products or service. I can have different keywords at different times of the day. I can have some searches running for lunch, some searches running for dinner, etc., etc. If I jump into building fans, we're doing a similar thing here, but rather than having location-based searching, this is general searching across the web, across Twitter. And here we're running a search for breakfast plus nutrition. So I'm saying, again, I'm a food and beverage operation, and I want to be able to post some information about why breakfast is important, why is it an important meal of the day. I'm not pushing directly my products or service, but as a restaurant, I offer breakfast. Why should you be interested? So I have articles here. I can even get ideas on initiatives that I can have. So here we have someone saying, let's talk nutrition today. What did you eat for breakfast this morning? Be honest, share it with me. That's a conversation that we could have on our own Twitter account. Not only are we engaging our fans and driving engagement, we're also getting some really interesting intel from those followers and fans about what they like to eat for breakfast, what they'd like to see perhaps at our restaurant, how can we change up our menu to provide the people that follow our business, our biggest advocates, what they want to see from my business. So really great way to get content, and then rather than reply, we can republish this content directly. We can republish from any of our Twitter accounts, LinkedIn, or Facebook directly from the product. Jumping into customer service, this is where we can monitor those conversations happening on our different Facebook pages, Twitter accounts, and follow those conversations in a meaningful and engaging manner. So I can flick through and I can have a look at a conversation that's happening on Twitter as well, and I can then comment and engage this person. I can then flick over to my Facebook account and monitor all the conversations happening here, and when there is a conversation, I get this nice inline view so I can follow the train of thought. Finally, scheduling and posting, being able to post and content from one dashboard rather than having to log into my multiple Facebook pages, my LinkedIn, and then my Twitter accounts. I can add all of my profiles to this compose portion. I can send out a blanket message to all of my social media networks in one fell swoop. I can include links, URLs, and I can schedule this to go out right now, or I can schedule it to go out in the future at a certain time. So if I'm posting something about lunch or dinner, something that is time sensitive, and I know that people will be monitoring or looking on their social media accounts at a certain time of the day, I can really target those individuals with some certain messaging. So that was an overview of our social marketing product. Hopefully what I've demonstrated is that it's really intuitive in nature. This is not something that an SMB is going to get bogged down with. It's not something that is outside of their sphere of understanding, and it's something they can use on a day-to-day basis very easily to monitor the leads, to drive engagement, and to provide customer service to their digital clients. The important part of this presentation really has been that SMBs need help driving their social initiatives and driving user engagement. And that's why, as VendAsta, from what we've seen in the market and what we know from working with channel partners, is the best way to provide social is a do it with me offering. What do I mean by do it with me? The client, the SMB, as we've seen multiple times on many different Facebook pages and Twitter accounts, does not have the know-how, they don't have the ability to drive and provide engaging social media contact. The sales pitch of telling an SMB what they need to do with social does not resonate, and we've seen it time and time again. They're busy, they don't understand the platform the way that they could, and social media and social media products in the past have not been prescriptive in nature. You know, an equivalent scenario would be an SMB purchases a color ad in the yellow pages, and you take the money from that and go, okay, great, thank you for purchasing that ad. Here are the keys to the printing press. Here's a computer with Adobe. Now you go and create your ad and you go print it, and if you have time you can go and distribute that to the city so everybody sees your ad. It's not going to happen, it's not going to be successful, so why do we do it with social? Why do we say, okay, great, you bought your social media page, now go create content, now go get leads, and we'll see you in a year's time? That's not going to work, and it's not going to be a long-term benefit for the SMB. So that's why we drive this do it with me offering from a social standpoint. And that involves you as the partner working with the SMB in order to get that best practice in place, get them rolling with a product that is prescriptive, so then you can take the training wheels off and they can start running and riding on their own. Now, do it with me is great for the SMB because it makes their social media campaign more successful. But why is it good for you guys? Well, it drives revenue. As we've seen, SMBs want help with their social media initiatives, so there is a demand there for this sort of service. There is demand for this sort of initiatives. SMBs can't do it themselves, but they need to be involved in the process, because otherwise the social media initiatives are not going to be followed up correctly if it's purely on your side, and the engagement is not going to be authentic if the SMB is not involved. So that's why this do it with me approach really resonates with social, because you can provide support for them on the process and management side while they're engaged and they have buy-in because they're in the product and they're being authentic with your help. Another benefit of this do it with me offering is that you can charge that higher price point for this in-demand service. You're not just selling a digital solution, you're selling a social media solution, a social marketing solution. And so you can have that higher managed solution type price point, but without it being a full managed solution. You're not doing the work for the client without them being involved. This is a partnership, and that's really the way it needs to be positioned, as a partnership that you're both going to grow into and be successful with. And that comes into the next point, where it does increase the success of the social media program, because you're not just leaving the client out in the wilderness, scratching their head wondering what do they do next. With some of our other products, like the concierge product, we provide some of that in-product reporting. So not only can you offer the do it with me offering for the SMB, but you can quantify what you've done on your side from a task perspective and show that ROI and show what you're doing for the client on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And as I already mentioned, there is a massive opportunity here because no one is offering social with this in this do-it-with-me scenario in a large scale. It's this fire and forget type scenario where the client gets the social media product and they're told to run with it. And as I've said, and as we've all seen 100 times, it is not successful and it's not resonating with the SMB. So anybody that comes in with this partnership, do-it-with-me type offering is going to have a lot of opportunity to really control that space. That's the end of the presentation portion. That's the end of the demo portion. My contact details are on this slide here. I'd like to thank everybody for their time and listening to what I had to say. Hopefully that was beneficial in regard to where social is at this point in time, where the challenges for SMBs are, where the opportunities are for local search organizations to fulfill a need for SMBs. What I'm going to do now is do some question and answer. So if you just bear with me a moment. So we have a question here. What do I mean by scalable? Is this for media companies for the SMB? When I refer to scalable, I refer to that in the context of the partner, of the media company. Scalable in the fact where if you offer something as a purely managed solution, you're going to need the support staff and you're going to need the business processes in place to support that. With a do-it-with-me offering, this can be leveraged by your existing account managers because it's not that 100% touch point sort of offering. It's a partnership with the SMB, so many more SMBs can be serviced by a smaller amount of in-house staff. Also scalable in the fact where it's a product that the SMB can roll with and works around their business processes and is intuitive for them. So there's not the technical support that you're going to need with other products that are more ambiguous in nature. I have a question. Has the new social tool been integrated into the API? This sounds like someone that perhaps works with us for one of our other products, and they know that we are very API heavy and we have very powerful API endpoints. Social is being integrated with our API. The stage that is at, I'm not 100% sure. I believe the API documentation for social is currently in beta, so yes, it will be fully supported. Also, can you expand a bit on the reporting functions that got added to the Concierge product? Obviously, someone, again, who is familiar with our Concierge offering, to go into a little bit of detail here, Concierge is a workflow task management tool for both our reputation intelligence and our social products. So whenever there is an event or an activity in either one of those products, a task is created in Concierge. Concierge is purely partner-facing rather than client-facing, and it is designed to facilitate the do-it-for-me and do-it-with-me offerings. The reporting that we added at the beginning of the year is reporting based on monthly tasks that are completed, so how many visibility tasks, mentioned tasks, social tasks were completed, and a breakdown of what those tasks look like. We'll be moving in the short term here to exportable PDF type reporting as well, HTML reporting that will increase the level of detail there. Another question here, I know Google Plus does not currently have an API, so does your product allow for scheduling posts on G+? No, it does not, for the reasons you described above. That's why in the connecting accounts portion, we are only monitoring Google Plus at the moment. We are keeping our ears and eyes open for more information from Google regarding that API. So as soon as it is available, we can integrate that into the posting and scheduling functionality. I have another question here. Have you seen any do-it-with-me offerings being successful in market? Yes, we have. In fact, we do some of it in-house here. We have a small concierge department that we have to provide our partners with the opportunity for us to do concierge and fulfillment for them in the short term while they get their head around having this offering in-house. And there are a couple of reasons for that. Perhaps the partner doesn't have the infrastructure in place yet to support a do-it-with-me or do-it-for-me offering, so we can take some of that slack in the short term. And so we have a little concierge department in-house here, which is providing day-to-day concierge do-it-with-me, do-it-for-me services to actual small businesses. So yeah, we are doing posts right now, fixing visibility and responding to reviews, etc., for small to medium businesses in market that our clients give us access to. And so yeah, we're seeing a lot of pickup and a lot of interest in this type of service because of the reasons I expanded on before. The SMB doesn't have the know-how to do it themselves, and they are happy to pay for that additional service and the hand-holding that we provide. As I said, the client has to be involved to keep it authentic and to keep the communication genuine. I believe that's all the questions we have at the moment.
Yep, I don't see anything else coming in. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to contact us at LSA. We'll make sure to put you in touch with today's presenter. And thank you, Alan, for conducting the presentation. Please keep an eye out for any future email blasts that promote upcoming webinars as well. We have an updated schedule of events this summer on the LSA webinar page, so be sure to check that out. And thank you all again for attending. We'll talk to you real soon.